guys, I can feel the energy. Hello. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am welcoming you to a very special episode of the Just Turned 18 dialogue right here. My name is Logistical Adeyemi, and I'm your moderator for today. Now, today we are live at the Ascension Presby Hall right here in Koforidua. I think you will put your hands together for yourselves, please. So I like a lot of energy. I work with a lot of energy. So when I say put your hands together for yourself, I mean put your hands together for yourselves, okay? All right. Now, today is International Youth Day, and that is why Joy Prime and Joy News, together with our partner, Star Ghana Foundation, have put this meeting together. Now, this meeting is to spotlight the critical role of young people, especially first-time voters, when it comes to Ghana's democratic process and also when it comes to our own personal development. Now, I have personally had the opportunity to speak to some first-time voters over the past few months, let me say 4 months. And then they've told me some of the pertinent issues that will influence their decision to vote in the elections. But also in our interactions, I realized that it's not all of them that are really equipped to, participate in the elections and exercise their franchise for the first time. And that is why we are here today. Today we are giving the opportunity to first-time voters to get their voices heard, to ask all the burning questions. And the good thing is that I'm not doing this conversation on my own. I have with me resource persons who have been gymming for about 2 weeks now, waiting to come and answer your questions. They're ready, ever ready to help answer your questions, especially when it comes to the electioneering process. Please put your hands together. So as I said, our first-time voters are here. I am not moderating this conversation alone. I have with me resource persons who are ready to answer that. But before we do that, someone will ask, why are we dwelling so much on first-time voters? Do you want to know why? Do you guys really want to know why? So let me explain. In 2016, the marginal win that put NPP in the lead and got us a current president was a little above 1 million votes. Then let's come to 2020. It was a little above 500,000 votes. Now, this year, the Electoral Commission has given us figures, or they've brought out statistics that show that it is estimated that 2.6 million first-time voters will be participating in the elections this year. Now, if all these 2.6 million first-time voters decide to vote for Party A, do you know that it means that Party A has a high possibility of winning? Because, if you look at the marginal win in 2016, it was a little above 1 million votes, meaning it's still little than the 2.6 million, right? And then if you look at the over 500,000 votes, you would see that still it won't get to our 2.6 million first-time voters, right? So if all these people decide to vote, do you know that we have a very high chance of winning? Yes, if you vote for one party, the possibility that that party will win is very high, and that is why first-time voters are, very important. Excuse me, I made a mistake. Let me explain again. That when you look at the 2016, it wasn't over 1 million, but it was a little close to 1 million, right? So still, it means that first-time voters are very important. And that is why we have these dialogues, to give first-time voters the chance to ask all your questions and have their questions answered by the resource persons so that it can help shape your decision on who you decide to vote for in the elections. That's why we are here. We have with us resource persons, as I said. I'm not going to be doing this conversation alone. We have with us a representative from NCCE, Dr. Imurana. Please put your hands together for him. Now, Dr. Imurana, you know the drill already because we've been doing this together. Please join me here. Put your hands together as he comes up top. Keep the clap coming, okay? Or fans, one man fans, or few. All right. Yes, Dr. Imurana, come close to me. Come close to me. All right. Now, Dr. Imurana, can you please educate us a little bit about the NCCE before we get into our conversation?
Thank you very much, Lois, and big thanks to all of us for making it here. For us at National Commission for Civic Education, as our name goes, NCCE, what we do is to educate the populace on the principles and objectives of the 1992 Constitution. Our strength as an institution lies in the fact that we are present in all the districts of this country and all the regions of this country. And our officers in all the districts and regions carry out civic education on a daily basis in the local languages that we have here. As far as this election is concerned and voters, young voters are concerned, NCCE, there are issues that we have flagged as issues of real concern for us. One is the issue about money in politics. Two, tolerance. Ghana as a country, we are divided. We are one country, but we are divided along religious lines, we are divided along ethnic lines, but it is not those decisions that are the problem. It is our ability to celebrate those decisions. And when it gets to election, some people are likely to exploit these differences to our disadvantage. Also, as young persons, you are in the forefront of what we call the fourth industrial revolution, that is technology. And technology is being used these days for churning out news that are not true. We should be mindful of that. And also, electoral violence. These are the issues that we want young persons to be aware of as we go into the 2024 elections.
All right. Please put your hands together for Dr. Imurana. All right, Dr. Imurana, you can have your seats. We'll call you back again. All right. So, also, we have amongst us several resource persons as well. Let's put our hands together for the project manager at Star Ghana Foundation, Dr. Ernestina Tete. Sorry, put your hands together for her. She's at the back. We see you, Madam Ernestina. Also, we have Iris Dalaba, Municipal Planning Officer, New Job in South. Please put your hands together for her as well. Also, we have the Regional Youth Organizer, the NDC. We have Richard Etonam Nyakon. Please put your hands together for him. Let's also put our hands together for the MP of the New Job in South, Michael Ochibefi. Please put your hands together for him. All right. We also have Prince Albert Kumsen. He is the Regional Executive Secretary for the National Peace Council. He will be joining us shortly if he's not here. Please put your hands together for all our resource persons. All right, so I have already stated keenly how important first-time voters are. And I've also had the opportunity to speak to a lot of them. I said that Just Turn 18 is a show that has been going on for months now, over 4 months. We've traveled to different communities, different schools, speaking to first-time voters on the pertinent issues that will influence their decision to vote. Most of them spoke to us, telling us their needs, their wants, and what they want to see before they participate in the electioneering process. Before we get into our question and answers, I want to find out how many of us have our registration cards? And so na yebesha asia no me pese me nkofo na omo voters ID. They be anyhow, but you've registered already. Why register? Me share. Me chinye nse ya na mafanesa why? All right. Yeah, so good. That means most of us have our voters ID. Nsi pese me hu. Mukanya mo voters ID, no, how was the process? Someone should tell me. I'm coming down to you. Any person want to talk to me? Or I can see people at the back. Okay. So you tell me, how was the electioneering process for you, especially the voters ID card registration? Why? All right. Oh, you're a first-time voter? Oh, me first time voters. So, yes, how was the... Okay, I'm coming to you, gentlemen. NCCE, what's your name?
Michael.
Okay, Michael, who register, you know, how was it? So you get up and you tell us how the registration process was for you. Why?
No, bad. It's an uncle for a protocol. So, one of my way, no. Obi on to your quani, I am an intem. Obi on to your quani, I am an intem. You didn't watch it.
And so say, none of the bad. Any other experience? I see people kicking and kakain. All right, I see a beautiful lady. Hi, your name, and then how was your experience?
My name is Hodan Anayabwa, and my experience was cool. It was normal. When I went, I just followed the process, and it was okay.
All right. So she says hers was okay. Any other person wants to share their experience with me? Okay, I see a lady. Your name?
Sarah Oforiwa Sabia. Me pacho ye kwa na network ni nyenti na ma ye che honum. Na network ni nye good.
Network how? All right. So I say no call no. Na network issues. Inti it was quite tedious. But what mean I?
Pacho.
In that day? All right. So even though it was tedious, at the end of the day, what's mean a voter's ID? Any more? Hey, remember who? Those hiding from the camera. Okay, I see you. Your friend was saying.
What's your favorite Regina?
Regina, or voter's ID? Oh, Kojino, how was the process?
But I'm quite na me kita Ghana card until mutimi your mom in 10 minutes beefy.
Oh, okay. So Eugenia, Regina say no koe no. Osimi bantem. I want one more. One more, a gentleman. Yes, I found somebody. Your name and then share your experience with me.
Your friend me Bernard. But you call na and share anya densa. Because now grow for be share den niwo. Tina process ni smooth.
Okay. So you've heard from him, his process was very smooth. Well, so it shows that we all here have a voter's ID, right? Right? Okay. So as I said, this conversation, I'm not doing it alone. We have people, seasoned people, who are ready to answer our questions. So without wasting my time, please, Dr. Imirana, we would want you to step up the podium, and then we can kickstart our conversations. If you have your questions, please be ready to ask them because he's moving up. And then just raise your hands. I'll come to you and you can ask your questions and then he'll answer. Now, we're taking 5 questions at a time. So after 5 people ask questions, we'll wait, he'll answer, and then we'll go again. Do we understand? Are we okay? All right. So, Dr. Imran, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So our first 5, we want to find out anything about the electioneering process. Why a first-time voter needs to vote. All is in your hands. Yes, I've seen somebody. Be preparing your questions down because they are ready to answer them. All right.
Acho kronu maedin ana mi twa bet nso na media no mate me tax iti me to mo na say omo ba ombe twa sa de enu ana ame pa hame.
So he has asked this. Next question. All right, my gentleman, I know what why?
But your friend Francis. Now, as a very young boy, it is me. I was think by this time, or mine, it's me ye bibia, and Kayan young boys, and so you be in high. Your crown, I break crossing penny for no. Me Canada, I break crossing penny for no. To me, the Sameto Abapa, dear, cause the urban wame. You know, so Mammy Scadi Ameto. But
any more? 3 questions more so Dr. Imurana can answer us. Any more questions? Yeah. Our questions? All right, I see another person. Dr. Imran, are you getting the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Hello. Please, my name is Labi Ernest. I would like to ask a question. I've not been to any country though, but I understand most of the foreign and Western countries, they build their countries with innovations and technology. But fast forward in our country, I think we believe in government jobs, or nursing, or police. But we have people who are crafted, people who, when we bring them together, they can make a lot of things for us. We see them on social media. What are they going to do to help us? Because with a little push, I know a lot of people can do a lot of things. What are they going to do for us? As a banner here to know, they try to convince us and buy us with soldier, police. But most of the poorest people are people who are working in the government sector. So what are they going to do for us? Thank you.
All right. Before we continue the conversation, this is an all-inclusive conversation. That's why we have our sign language interpreter, Joyce Nyakwa Agbedoho. Please put your hands together for her. She's at the top there. All right. 2 questions more, and then Dr. Imurana will answer us. I see. Any more questions? All right, Dr. Imurana, over to you. Pachoya no afra chini English ne kakramai. Why? Anamebwa. Aye. Over to you.
No problem. I think I will not say I'm going to answer the questions. What I'm going to say are responses to the issues that have been raised. The earlier conversation that we had, we talked about the number of young persons that we have in this country. In terms of our population distribution, young persons form about more than 70% of our population. Those between the ages of 15 to 35 constitute more than 30-something%. And from age 1 to 14 constitute also additional 30-something%. So if you put you together, right, you are more than 70%. And the issues that I'm hearing, oh, it is difficult. When we vote, they are the same. Voting is the opportunity for you, right, to contribute your voice, right, to the development of your country. It is difficult, but it is through voting that you can make your voice, that voice that you have, to be heard. So don't say that you will not go and vote. We've heard about technology. I will come to that. But in some amuka now, we can say, oh, near Nema Kwedi, Amida Minkotua, Mipachawan Kotua, why your home? Nature say, we vote to know, and then your power near we voice here with the best son, we voice here with the best to aba, right? Because voting, whatever the case may be, it is the only legitimate way, right, to either give an official of government power, right, or to make a change, right? Some of you are too young. You are not aware of the history that we've had. There are several perspectives to the history of this country, but we've tasted different forms of government. One party, colonial rule, military dictatorship. But 1992 Constitution is the only constitution that has survived 30 years. Democracy is the safest pair of hands in terms of form of government. Intino enkasa unkoto aba waba to na oba kwakoto no ene da beboa se bia nsaye bia opese wo no waba to no na dibe sansaye ne beba. Is that okay? So once you have registered, it is through this voting process that you can make your voice to be heard. Somebody has talked about technology, right? Fourth Industrial Revolution, they call it. It is the youth, young persons, who make that revolution. Use technology. You can only do that, right, when you have a stable country. If you look across us, some of the countries, we share a year, say Burkina Faso, Yayeku, Hanamebwa, Montera, Mali, Yayeku, right? Now, Niemi Dene said, Yempenyin for Omo Omai, right? The political parties, all of them have committed themselves that they don't want to see a coup. Hanamebwa, all the political parties, they say they don't want to see a coup. So, and the only way we can prevent a coup is to make sure that we use our what? Our thumb to select government, to select leaders. One, yes, in some of the countries, during elections, people don't even go and vote. You have elections and then you have 20% voter turnout. Well, someone got to about, or better na baby, I can say, so my no crown, democracy, no. Citizens, no, omumpe, and I'm a boy, whoop anka, to. So if you don't go out to vote, it gives basis for people to question the legitimacy of government. And it gives basis for some of these uncivilized ways of changing government that we have in the name of military regime and so on and so forth. So, please let your voices be heard through the electoral process. You have your card, and one of the things that we are trying to prevent is violence during elections. We don't want violence during elections. Is that not the case? And all of us, do you know what we can do to prevent violence? Do you know what we can do to prevent violence during elections? It's for you, right, to respect the institutions of state. At every polling station in an election, every political party has a representative. Is that not the case? The police, the security services are there. The electoral officers are there. So you have your card. On daily basis, check your bag to see if your card is intact. On that day, go peacefully, join a queue, vote, and leave the place. When it is time for counting, you can come back. One of the beauty of our democracy in Ghana is that we count our ballots together. Is that not it? So, young persons, please, don't say you will not go out and vote. Please ensure that you vote and your voices are heard so that we will continue to have our Ghana. Okay? If you don't go and vote, there will be no Ghana. And Lois mentioned to you, over 2 million of you are on the electoral roll. Do you know what it means if 2 million people don't go and vote? Whatever party comes, it means the legitimacy of that party is questionable. Is that okay? Intim pamocho ada yebe fresh yebe kwakoto abano. Yen mofra ni ya register. We have to go and vote. Is that okay? Give yourselves a round of applause.
All right, put your hands together for yourselves. All right, let's take our next batch of questions. Okay, now I see hands. I see more hands. Your name and then your question.
My name is Augustine Opon, and then I'm a student in Koforidia Sectec. So I want to ask whether the strike that the teachers have been going, is it the government or they themselves that have been going? Because it affects our studies.
Okay, next question. Okay, I see people behind. All right, you again.
All right. Per what you are saying, I pretty understand you. It's like going to vote to ensure consistency in election and constitution to make sure that the constitution is running smoothly. Now, come to think of it, we have been voting for years now, and still we have youth who are having a lot of grievances concerning voting and concerning the outcome of voting and concerning the effect of voting in our lives. How do you convince us this time that voting to ensure consistency will be positive and effective on our lives? Thank you.
Okay, I'm coming. Keep the questions coming and ask people asking their questions. You can also be preparing yours. So please join me here. You can come and ask a question here.
Hello. Okay, so when you were responding to the questions, I also noted down some questions. Mine is, I'll probably say a follow-up to what my colleague just asked. So what could be done to encourage more people, especially the young or the first-time voters, to participate in this coming election? My second question has to do with, what advice would you give to others who are voting for the first time? Thank you.
All right, next question. Two more so Dr. Imirana can answer. All right, Dr. Imirana, take these three.
Thank you very much. So I think I categorize the questions into two segments. One is about, the point my brother has been making, okay, we go to vote and then, it's the same story. And also the advice and what we can do to push young people to go and vote. I will take this one first. Democracy is a process, right? And the unfortunate thing is in this country is for young people to think that democracy ends on the voting day. Voting legitimizes, gives power to people. But if you bear me, a lot of you might have been on the platform of National Commission for Civic Education. We reinforce the message that after you have voted, that is not the end of the day. We have a constitutional arrangement where when you vote a parliamentarian, right, they are in Accra. The issues that they go to discuss, right, should be your voices. Don't limit the office of parliament, the office of the MP, to a place where you will be going and be asking for school fees. It is that office, the office of the assemblyman, that is where you go and ask questions about that gutter in front of your house, right? That has been choked for a number of years, and it is not being desilted. That is how you contribute to governance. But in this conversation, we are talking about voting. The critical thing here is about us going and vote. And the assurance I'm giving to you is the fact that it is when you use the thumb that you vote that opens the doors, right, to all the other ways that you can use to be part of the governance. Is that not the case? But if you don't go out to vote, and power is in the hands of some few people, as is happening in another country, your voice is not going to be heard. Right? When there is, excuse me to say, military takeover, it is the military that will decide to you the next time you hold you hold elections. Fortunately, every 4 years we go into an election. Is that not the case? But when we lose this democracy, the military will come. You've been hearing, they come to Accra. There is Accra Convention on this. And then they say, give us 4 years. And by the time you realize 10 years, 15 years, you have not been given the opportunity to vote. And I'm saying that it is when you have the power to vote, after that, you can question the MP you have voted for. You can question the assembly member you have voted for. But if you don't, in the first place, if you don't have the power to vote, what power will you get again? And after you voted, on daily basis, there are processes. If you are not happy with grievances, you have grievances, right? Fortunately, we have a decentralized system of government. The assembly member, unit committee, right? DCE. Voting opens the door for us to be able to talk to all these people. Niami can say about your vote, no? So I say democracy, and yeah, no, but voting, no, and then service have been suffer would be other things that you can do in a democratic dispensation. They say, be a what to obey. Adia chia, we got an idea of you anima, ebia, yen, and in the memo to me, I'll bet me a bisa MP, got you, the Ben on Babaye, an assembly member, me got I the enemy, the Ben on Babaye. Now, so one got to aba, me the kind can say, I'm got to aba. Now, at the end of the day, voter turnout is 20%, 10%. Obeka say, or mine no crowd democracy, no woman there, or moon pet. Nedi, be before Frabre. So be before Frona Bebano. A bedroom base at 10 years, 20 years, your mouth can cross a cocoto ababio. Do you like something like that? So when we vote, and the advice to young voters, young persons, you see, in the past they say the youth are the future leaders. Is that not the case? But today, you are the leaders, are you not? You are the leaders in the sense that we talk about all this and we talk about technology. Which people use technology the most? Is that not you? Something that we will go and read in a book before we know. You click something on your this thing, on your phone, and you are there. Is that not it? So you are the leaders. And when you go to vote, make sure that thumb that you use, the next time an opportunity comes, it is your voice that you will use. But if you don't go, first of all, to go and use the thumb, right, your voice is totally stopped. So ensure that you keep your card. Once you have registered, ensure you go and vote. And you will do that voting very, very what? Peacefully. Thank you very much.
All right. Please put your hands together for him for me. So we also have amongst us the Deputy Regional Director of the Electoral Commission. Please put your hands together for Nana Odro. Please join Dr. Imurada upstairs on the podium. All right. So if you have a question, there's a microphone in the middle lane. Please go right there and ask your questions. Any question pertaining Electoral Commission or the electioneering process, he's here to answer it. Also remember that you are allowed to ask any question at all. Any question you want to ask, they are here to answer that, okay? Now, I'm coming to you, Dr. Oduro. So over the past few months, I've had the opportunity of speaking to first-time voters who have told me a lot, especially when it comes to the voting process. I went to a community where a few of the first-time voters said they weren't even going to vote, first of all, because they feel like whenever they go to the polling stations, people kick people out. You'll be in the queue for a very long time, and then someone comes and says, oh, I came here before you, when evidently the person wasn't there. How is EC going to, stop all of this year? Because it's also deterring a lot of people from wanting to participate in the election. Intimi bisa say many nkofobia akasa, first-time voters akasa, omaka cheme say, reason na omo mpese omo bekwa ko vote kra ne say, omo dru ho na omo ko vote a. Obi beba ka say me de me nkofo oba, nti wo ba anopa no. Uberie no na den nwumre. Intimi bisa say, how is the Electoral Commission going to help curb that? Because I know some first-time voters who said until they stop those things, or no there, pass or be free fee, ako voting no onye da. So, over to you.
Thank you, Madam. As you said, I'm Nana Odro Numapeo. Yes, I have understood your question. But what I want to say is that anything doing with election is within the law. If you look at our CI, when you go to the polling station, what the officials are supposed to do, and even you, the voter, what you are supposed to do is stated in our laws, that when you get to the center, you must be in the queue. Fortunately, we have the security personnel at the center that will ensure that everybody who gets to the polling station is in the queue. And so issue of I came before someone, in fact, it shouldn't be an issue because you must go and join the queue and the next person also come and join the queue. So that is why we are going around educating people about the process of our elections. So that when you get to the polling station, you know that it is always first come, first serve. It is only few people, like pregnant women, aged, that we give preference to them. That for some reason, we don't want them to be at the center for a longer period. But any active person must be in the queue, and that is what the law says. Thank you.
Also, when it comes to the same electioneering process or going to vote, even before you came, we've engaged first-time voters who say that they get to the places, the polling stations, to go and, even the registration process. They got there, and then it turns into a fight. People literally were fighting. Yabu obikra oko se okoye ne registration. Any abono. How do we stop this violence, and who should they report to? Into who do polling station now okoye vote na intokwaba? Who do you see?
Yes, all of us must play a role. The Electoral Commission, the political parties, and all the other stakeholders. Because if you are going to register, you don't need to go and create confusion at the center. If it is strictly by queue, you must go and follow the queue. But as you said, sometimes for some reason, you have some people who organize tax to go and cause confusion, either to prevent people from registering because maybe it is not their so-called stronghold or whatever it is. So all that we need to do is to educate our stakeholders so that we all support the process and make sure that we don't create violence when we get to our registration or voting centers. So it is not only on the Electoral Commission, but all the stakeholders involved in our election. We must educate ourselves and make sure that come December 2024, we all go to the center and play our role. The Electoral Commission has a role to play. The security has a role to play. You, the voter, also has a role to play. Because after voting, I learned, as you said, you have to go home, and when it's around 5, you come and witness the voting process. If all of us will abide by the rules of the game, I'm very much sure that there wouldn't be confusion in our electoral process in the country. Thank you.
All right. Please put your hands together for him. So while we are having this conversation right here, you at home can also join the conversation on our social media platforms. Leave your questions in our comment section. We're going to read them out and have the resource persons answer your questions. So please do follow us on our social media platforms. We're streaming live. Join us, and then let's have a very good conversation. Now, okay, over to you. You can ask your question.
Okay, it's very good to have you with us. So, with respect to the question that they are asking, I want to find out, as a Deputy Director for EC, so what innovative or new measures is the EC bringing on board to avoid the usual problems that we normally face or encounter, or that comes after whenever we have election? That is, at times you go to a polling station where you see fights and all that. We have the police people there, and yes, still we do have this kind of problem. What innovative measures is the EC bringing on board this time around? Thank you.
All right. And so, person say, what are some of the new things? Electoral Commission edeba to curb in Tokakitin na Yavotiria SCCC polling stations. No, what are some of the ways that the Electoral Commission or the new things the Electoral Commission is putting together? Or the best stop sa in Yamane SCCC polling station. Someone say us here. All right, next question.
Okay, Mpacho Efremi Akori Ebenezer. Person Buza say as a first-time voter, the functions of the president, the MP, so the assembly member, to know their roles, because Obi say MP nye kwan, MP nye say, and I said now kano, MP kona so mo ye debater, on be seke the views of the constituency. And also be say omo tuaba, ye nim, for instance, ye levy, ye nim adekode, ye see ajiatu, baba be catch them say oh, etise ya. As a first-time voter, and person the roles of these particular people. And now to the EC, the person who say voters registration, political parties never around. Then because per me observation, in Tokwana is between the political parties. So if say voters registration, so what are the rules? Because of protocols near the end, and I think say in my part, I didn't talk any animal neighbor. Timpesi hunina medas.
All right. I'm Frank Hood from New Japan South Youth Parliament. Please, there's this observation I've made over the years concerning electoral violence. And one thing I've noticed is that when it comes to electoral violence, the target group is the youth. So what are we going to do to ensure that these youth are not led by money or anything to entice them to engage in these violent acts? And I would also like to ask that our brothers and sisters who are differently able, what measures are you going to put in place to ensure that they also vote peacefully and safely without any trouble? Thank you.
You'll be our fifth, and then the two you wait. When they answer the 5, then you ask your question.
My name is Prince Henry. My question goes to the Deputy Director of EC. Electoral Commission are supposed to make registration, especially the first voters, very comfortable for them. But this current leadership, led by our mother, Mrs. Jane Mensah, has tried to, or has limited the registration to the district level. For example, I have a brother who is at Enum and Boso. These places falls under the Esojaman district or Esojaman constituency. Now, as a first-time voter, has to travel from all this distance to Akosombo to come and register. Now, what happened is when he got there first time, as a first-time register, he wasn't having what? The Ghana card. He needs to come with what? Someone who guarantee. He went there with 2 guarantors. First time, because of network challenge, he couldn't have access to the voter's card. He has to go back. Now look at the cost involved. Look at the hindrances. Who is going to bear all this cost? All the hindrances. Should he travel and even have or get an accident? Is the Electoral Commission going to bear the cost? Even the transportation of these people, he has to go there thrice. The transportation from Enum to Akosombo, it is not easy. A first-time voter who is not working has to, devote his time, everything, just to go and register, and for the Electoral Commission to make the registration, successful and very, good and very accessible. They are trying to make it so cumbersome for them.
Thank you.
They need to be addressed.
So, thank you. It's Onu Bisase. All right. Into Onu Bisase, heba registration in voting or registration in itself. As I say, almost about district level. Into sometimes people have to travel long distances. Sorry, if you fear probably another region and son our wako register. Okonswa if you want your side in back and son our son could be. And so Bisase, how is the Electoral Commission going to help with that? Please, over to you, Dr. Odro. Sorry, Mr. Odro.
Yes, let's start here for the first person. No?
Okay.
Measures are putting in place to reduce conflict at the centers. Say the first measure, Electoral Commission, I say. Polling station be a bro 750 no yebeche mumi no enti se center be 1000 yebeche mumi no na 500 na 500 atu maba one side na another 500 and so aye den atu maba na reduce enipa dodo na nke be den ebe DQ ni mu na time so e de beto aba no eno so ebeboa enti eno ye first measure Electoral Commission aye the tasu bi ebia na ye Electoral Commission ye call religious institutions and other CSOs senior ebetimi amiti amanfo na educate you mo the electoral processes senior ebedru time ebeto aba no na first voters any obia ti process na say say we could do another year. It's about education, and we have started doing it. Apart from the electronic ones now, who know TV, so no, your officers and also enama, education. Stakeholders, party for so Asia, Jojo about some of the issues are conflict fast security, new moye workshop. Now almost the SO moye. It is a processor. I be educated obia here say edru abatwa obe play new role including wa obeto abano senior obi mfa ehun hye ne mu na edru abatwa ne time obeka say onye den oma nti these are some of the measures yegusu aye den na yasaye more transparent wo niema ye bia mu tina obi busa question adentine do registration ye ma party for no ba ho. Yes, eso mo ba ho na say wunye Ghana ni na obe chiro din a ye ni ebia ye hu eye agent fuoi bi betimi identify because emra ewo edin chiro ho so wunye Ghana ni wuni 18 years party fuoi ni stakeholders ye ni omu adwuma no e na betimi ama ye hu say say nipa we wonye den on qualify enti na bibia ye bia no ye de party any other stakeholders in a boom, near build trust in our electoral process, because in some way I can't talk about no. Me feel as a trust in a bad day, emphasize on your money in Amba. Inti adwuma mpanimfo putting in a lot of measures, sending a better more education. Now will be a better than once. A far registration a chair money no say a man for a travel long distance. A better register, say a concern registration a cost no a man for receive. Now and I'm say a policy issue, me fee say penning for no. A drew next time see ye bibisa or move or monso ebetiye sa ansem we be no more take decision. Until they met me afa and no medawasi.
All right. And get close to the microphone and ask your question.
Please, I want to ask that. Have they introduced any a new method of voting?
Okay, so Obisa say introduce. Obisa say yeah the new way ye be twababa na new way cry can watch. Some catch us some tree and strong signs as some of us are. Is there a new method that the Electoral Commission has introduced? Aha, medase papa. Acquire for fraud. I in the election or besides the Electoral Commission day acquire for fraud. You bet so baba na. Next question.
All right. So my name is Ernest again. Now my question is, most of us we are not first-time voters because we fall within the ages of first-time voters, but because we have a lot of grievances when it comes to voting. Now we sometimes get our information from social media, and most of them seem to be accurate, others are false. Now, we tend to know that some of the, first of all, I don't subscribe to violence or coup d'etat. We need to clarify that. Some of the countries that have been taken over by coup d'etat are really doing well recently. Yes, financially, health-wise, agric, we have been seeing them. Well, I stand to be corrected if they are not that way. Looking at our country now, comparing our country to some of these countries that are taking over, it's like they are moving faster than we are. So some of us, we are convinced that voting has really no relevance in our daily lives, direct relevance to our daily lives. I really want you to clarify that, because most of the youth I've been able to talk to are saying about Okran Fasu so it's like Okope Juma Mobi Papa and other things. We have been hearing them. So please, I really need you to clarify that for us, and probably it might convince us to vote. Thank you.
I'm Bawa Ibrahim. My question goes to the EC Deputy Director. I want to ask the EC, what assurance are they giving the first-time voters who went through frustration during the registration? And what is the possibility that with those frustration and they are being fed up, the election is going to be free and fair to them, for them to go out and cast their votes? Thank you.
Okay, next question.
My name is Moses, and then I want to ask this question. How safe are we, the youth, concerning this coming election? Because when you listen to the news, it's like when this party comes on, he's talking about he not going to allow someone to break the 8, and then someone also talking about he's going to come on no matter what happens. This year, and person Mbisa say, person Mbisa is in say, into to ye bena, omode gu akwemu a ebebo yen youth ne ho ban. Because this year, no news. When you listen to the news, it's like this coming election is going to be violence. Like, this is not going to harm. Like there has to be extra security for every polling center, because we can't risk our life for just, I wouldn't say just voting, but TSC will be cut to about she fan home will be the idea then abono when you for so be a intino pacho Nisi, my emu say, ye save and I say, ye save.
All right.
Like my emu be.
Thank you. But yeah, questions. No money and short. Why? Next question.
Okay. Good evening. Please, my name is Adam Bernard from New Jersey South. Please, my question goes to the EC. So, question 1: how do I report any issues or concern I have at the polls? 2: how do I know if my vote has been counted at the poll? And 3: what if I make a mistake on the ballot? What do I do? Thank you.
Wait, so take the question once again so I can interpret. Or can you interpret in Chi for me?
No, I'll speak English.
Okay, so speak the English, let me interpret.
So how do I report any issue or concern I have at the polls? Where should I report to?
Okay, so a person who says a polling station now on your problem be why not on country? No? What's the next question?
How do I know if my vote has been counted?
Say no be who say about no to no ya kind. A person who say how will he know?
So the third one is, what if I make a mistake on the ballot? What do I do?
Say also about no or your mistake there no be and I why now on country no. All right. So Dr. Emirana.
Thank you.
Mr. Odro, all of you.
Thank you very much. I think we've raised plenty issues. There are issues about the institutions of governance and then their functions. The issue about electoral violence. And the one that I will start responding to is the one that talks about democracy. The comparison that somebody makes about our country being democratic and other countries that are not democratic and they are developing. It's a big smoke screen. You see, the democracy we have and across the globe, it has proven to be the most durable, form of government. The countries that we are talking about, they are mostly countries that are in transition. Those countries, I'm not even sure your data is true, that they are developing. Some countries have not seen a change in presidency for 40 years. And some countries, democracy has been overthrown. They have military dictators. And what you should know is that whenever there is this coup, people will come in and then they say they will support you. I call them short-term relief. And the military and those countries that you are talking about, it's just like you have malaria. You have to take Liverquin. When we were young, that was the medicine that was being used to treat malaria, right? Liverquin, which is so bitter to cure your malaria. But because it's bitter, somebody gives you paracetamol. And then you take it, and in the evening your headache is gone, and you think your malaria is gone. So please, and I'm saying this within the context of the fact that, you see, in this country, our leaders, party in government, party in opposition, other parties, they all say, we don't want military coup. Am I lying? We want to use our thumb to select our leaders. And as NCCE, over the years, we have toiled for 30 years to educate people on the principles of democracy. That leads me to the second issue about the institutions of government. Somebody asks, somebody is going to vote. What does the president do? What does the legislature do? What does the judiciary? And we say MPs are not agents of development. That is true according to the Constitution. The Constitution has 3 arms of government: executive, legislature, judiciary. The executive is where the president is. And the function of the executive is to implement policies and make policies. Function of the MP is to make laws. And function of the judiciary is to interpret the laws. Neatiani say case democracy, right? Social studies, who calls SSS social studies. You try say bibi owa you from the arms of government. And yes, legislature, judiciary, executives, having different, functions to perform. Then the issue about electoral violence. You see, there are laws that speak against electoral violence. And in this country, our law says, say, Ukotuaba, right? Na baby cause office enye. Na office uhuodin, ufri political party. Na ukobo bia. Yeba bechiwa, crime has no political color. If you do something bad, you are going to be arrested as an individual. And you will be dealt with. So please, there are several laws in this country. Very recently, you heard about vigilantism. Law has been passed to prescribe vigilante activities. So if you are deceived to go and cause violence, the laws will deal with you. Say, Okoye Basabasa be on election day. Police for a soldier for crowd on election day, they will handle you.
Thank you. Say, Obi me Obi Busa say, how do I know if my vote is counted? Say, ye to aba na ye to aba ni nyina wie na ye bekanya. Ye gusu kura ye to aba no, enipa na ye beto aba no. Party for agent ni Electoral Commission ye nyina ye track nipa dodo a e beto aba no ansa kura na ye den. Ye to wie a ya kan aba no. Enti se nipa be 100 and e beto aba na ye expect say ye kan wie ni ye keka figures ni nyina aboma ye say ye den. Enya 100. And that is what we have been doing. But what you say? And he said, yeah, to about nipa 100 and buy and you can see any 100. Yeah, you should be convinced that your vote is counted. That is why you can say, what to about we now kofia. A true time I can abana, you should be part of the process. Now I would do any who say, abana ye kind of oh honey kind ye kind so ye mfanko she baby ye bie de to ho table so e kind of 1 2 3 ema obi oho bia etibi na ewie ya record figures no. That is the process. Obi nso busa say oto aba wie na oye mistake a obeye den. Electoral Commission say oto aba na onfa share box no mu a ballot paper no you say a spoil ballot paper because en share box ni mu. O catch a presiding officer and say we a mistake obeje na wa cancel the odema ono na wasen ama fufuro ansa na wakwa akoto ene ye say we a mistake mienu kura na emra no e so ye den osesa de ma wo enye say ebe ya obvious say wa sheda say we dey open say we be waste ballot paper but me sure say first one why a mistake o catch a presiding officer na obe den obema fufuro na wakwa akoto enunti na ye nuanom kura sabe omani afura no enye obi na to abama omo Ghana ha ye wo process a friend tata ballot a ye di paper e ballot paper no shade mu ema nipa na fele ema oto ema nipa ye ne choice. Electoral Commission ye ni omu ye training ema most of the time kura no omo to aba who rejected ballot because process na omo to aba no omo te ase enti bibia yo okay. And obi nso busa say any new way a new way be any ho way na winim see the to abana na ye de to 2024 enti no eno ne de meka.
All right, so we asked people to join the conversation via our social media, and they've left a few comments. So someone says that Credit Union, she says, please, what card are we using to vote? Is it Ghana's card or Ghana card or voter's ID? Most Ghanaians are still waiting for their cards, by the way. And so, be say, abana ye beto no card ben ye be use Ghana card and say voter's ID card.
Aba ye beto ye be use voter ID card. Enunti a free 20th, ekofim 27th. Electoral Commission be ye register no atwa a friend exhibition. Say obia nko checking the din. And who he answer oba ko check udin fi say ukọ na udin ni mu a na yetimi eye the necessary thing say udin kura na spelling ni ya eno na ye opportunity a obetimi spelling udin yi say wo ye oba wa ware na na ofese odi ukunu din ka ho a that is the opportunity wo ye be ma na ofese osesa udin a that is the opportunity enti emprepi no ye the register na to ha amanfo emfa na serious but me shemuden say bishia ebe no monko enko cheki na ye voter ID card so voter ID card kura yira ubetimi akọ cheki udin na obi nso kura nso betimi a cheki udin amawo the ontimi nye ne say ontimi nkoye correction emawo enti you can go and check as many names that you know na ye nyina ye hu say come 2024 no ye din aye ready or register ni mu na card na de ye voters ID card and ye de koto aba
Obi nso say voters registration card no voters ID no mkoye no up to now on J on nya ne de okonso a she's not getting it. So someone says that in the comment section. She says that she has already done the registration but hasn't gotten her card. What does she do?
Any ebe me wan kakra because obia ohobia nim say electoral commission e ma instant card. Obia enko fie no aba beje ne card. Enti e bia na e card foforo no woka.
Yati, please your question.
Hello. Me mamunyina ha. Your friend me Mr. Dakwa. Me won new job in South wa. Asama me beken me kama ya yete nyina. Abato enye ntokwa. Ni edikan. Yenuanom nketoa na afei na omba beto aba no. Me ka semi ade akyere mo. Abato du se ya. Eboni obia eka. Na me ka sem bi Ghana ha ye wo asundwe na ye wo no aman bebre ni bi ebidu abato so say ya hwe no amma obi anka nkyerɛ sɛ GBB na kɔyɛ tuturasɛm ana sɛ kɔ police station hɔ ne kɔdi nkwasasɛm wokɔ ne yɛ kyewa ɔno ne yere ne ma yɛnkye wɔ mo ansana obɛde wɔ ho no na nneɛma bebre asi nti afutu a mede ma youth a yɛwɔ ha ne sɛ abato anya ntɔkwa onte nneɛma bi ase a wubisa ne mmom sɛ wobɛtena se na political party bi bɛ use sɛ kɔ ne kɔdi nsɛmfo deɛ ɛyɛ w'asɛm a medam ase.
All right, next question.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Asamoah, and my question is directed to the Deputy Director of the EC. Pastor, my question is say, to the beer, Ubeko polling station honum, Bako train, no, you say, ballot paper and buy, ballot box and buy, into mon chain, and no, and I mark you no, a bahonum, Ubako Jinaho, you see, we buy it, not in a chain. Answer na ballot paper ne bebano, any ballot box ne bebano. Na queue abaho bebre, na ama misunderstanding ayeden. Aba, we say me na me ba first. Ube to me. What I say? Into sometimes we the voters, it's not our fault. But into the person who say election year be then echo. How are we assured say this one will be better than the previous ones? Thank you.
All right. 2 more, then he answers, then the rest to wait and answer. Okay, ask your question. Please, over to you.
Yeah. Pacho, Medini Mohammed Sagiro. This question is directed to the Deputy EC. Let me say, earlier on, Mr. Imran advised the youth to say we should be involved in the electoral process. In 2020, there was an election violence at Techiman where 8 youths lost their lives. Not a single statement from the EC or any investigation into what happened. How assured are we, as ordinary youth, say, yes, sorry, near say a kotuaba, we won't lose our life because some of the youths are the breadwinners of their family. So this question is directed to the Deputy EC. And today is such an important day for the community. We saw our parliamentary candidate here. And as at now, he isn't here. Is there any reason why such an important day, our parliamentary candidates come in here and walk out without any excuse to we the youth?
Good evening. My name is Nii, New Job in South Youth Parliamentarian. I want to know why is it that only during election that we see election education and not pre and after election? Why isn't there any education towards the youth about election itself? And we always wait when the food is already prepared before we come and teach people about election.
All right.
Thank you.
So we extend the question, but before that, Star Ghana Foundation has a 3-year project. It's called the Action for Youth Development, and their focus is right here at the New Durban South Municipality. Now, in the research that they have done, or the survey they have done, has shown that a lot of people, especially most of the youth in this community, do not know much about the local governance. About local governance, they have no idea, little to no idea. That's most of them. Some do, but most of them do not know anything about local governance. It's mostly about the people we see. So it's either MPP, NDC, and the rest. They don't know anything about local governance. So I'm tying that's what he just asked about. How are we educating our people? Is it only elections that we're going to hear, okay, this is what you should do when you get to the electioneering or when we start the electioneering process? And to me, say, Star Ghana Foundation, or more introducing project, I have friend or what? I'm a friend or Action for Youth Development. And it means me in Kawotrimu. All right. So you had. And our projects we research no more year no. A buyer say about local governance. Most of the youth, name their friend local governance. Now, so you can say the other type, the hierarchy, the higher ups are. I don't know what means me. Say, how is the Electoral Commission and then also NCCE going to help educate the youth? And just like he asked, is it only going to be when it's the elections that we hear these education or we are educated about our rights, our civic responsibility, and franchise as well?
Okay, I'm say about education. My first question so I can say election near me no Electoral Commission activity and security. About security issue police for and handle no MSO bibusa election violence and how we combat that. Even though the Electoral Commission ya juma ya na security ya juma ya the confusion beba meboana na security nso anyo juma ya ni nso ya juma ya and also the confusion beba until we work hand in hand, and I can assure you say there has been a serious workout plan with the security to make sure that 2024 election is going to be very safe. Very safe, so nobody should be afraid. 2024 election is going to be very safe. Sometimes the issue that we hear on social media, is a deliberate attempt to prevent others not to go and vote. But I can assure you that don't rely on that. Electoral Commission and the security of this country will make sure that come 2024, you will experience another most successful election in this country. So we also can delay in election materials. My Juma over 20 years. Say ye be a sentence in term a hallmark. But yes, say about to your 41,000 police station. E be about nubi and for some reason. But say, about for Kwako Jina Honoma train materials in your day, I can assure you, say, come 2024, you will now see that we are going to put in a lot of measures to make sure that everybody, all our officials, will start their work exactly 7 a.m. as the law stipulates. And also assurance, may catch it all. Now, election violence, dear, Senya Penny Kaya, no. If you say our doors are open, NCC, the police, they are all there.
the bibi na ote na on tiasia. Me feel said the best thing yes we as a youth is to find the right answers, but not to take the answers onto yourself and go and do otherwise. So we had emra emma okwan so obeya election day emra no obedi. Inti ye besre ye nuanom sɛ aba ye ba betu yi obi ani ho betimi a intimidate obi sɛ ontimi ba ne nkoto aba. Electoral Commission ne Ghana security the measures beto ho ama obi obeto na aba no ebeto na aba freely akọ efie ama bibi akọ so pepepe.
We have spoken to first-time voters, many of them still on election or electoral violence, and they have told us that anytime they get to the polling station, even though they haven't voted before, they've heard so many times that you get there, and we've heard that to always be a peaceful election, and then you get there and there's always violence, and people are always using the youth as their ally. Now, you are saying that we shouldn't allow them use us, but in this case, if we are being forced against our will, who do we speak to?
Yes, and I can say election day, the election activity, electoral commission, and the security in so police, and answer security apparatus na we work hand in hand. Say obo your presiding officer no issue be a man na security issue or no other police in no now I'm a police in no attended to. So na police in so information so alert presiding and also obey alert no. And now okra so na wa akoto aba no ugina ho no won say bibi koso na yesa wo man information bi IDPs ebeba environment wa won say your responsibility say won so be alert here fa na say ye to aba wa ha no won say amanfo bi abehye ba bi plan say won ba be ye bibi wo center ho no mo enam say wo ni ho bi nti wo be ye din ana say wutimi alert say bibi say na ekoso na ya eden ya pair reinforcement na bibia ye den akoso ye nyina ye wo responsibility say ye be ma afia bato aye very peaceful.
Okay, please put your hands together for both of them. Why? Hey, mama, and somebody drew. All right, so our MP was here. He left because he had to go for a very important meeting. It's not so it's not because he just wanted to go, but because he has a meeting that he has to attend to. Say Atias here. All right. So this is our last batch of questions, and then we've ended the meeting. So please ask your questions.
I'm Victoria, and I'm from the New Jabe Youth Parliament. So my question is, I want to ask me being a first-time voter. I want to know the youth trust in the Electoral Commission and other institutions. That's one.
Prosper, a native of this town. My question is about the electoral violence. We all saw what happened during the Ayawaso by-elections. This question goes to the Deputy EC. I want you to assure me that that incident will never, never, never repeat itself again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am Samuel Ajitesua, the founder of Concerned Citizens of Ghana, and also the Volta Regional Ambassador of Ghana Cultural Heritage. My question to the NCCE boss. Normally, after the vote is cast or after the voting, we realize that the percentage of rejected ballot at times is even more than what a candidate gets. And so I want to ask the NCC boss, what are they doing about this trend? What are they doing about this problem in order to reduce this rejected ballot to the barest minimum? What are they doing to sensitize Ghanaians about how to vote well? Then also I want to suggest to the Electoral Commission that in their adverts on the televisions and everywhere, they should display about how Ghanaians should exercise their franchise, so how Ghanaians should vote, should thumbprint well, in order to bring down this
high percentage of rejected ballots. I want to entreat all the youth over here that let us sustain the peace we are enjoying now. It's very, very crucial. Because if you are a trader, you are selling the market, you are going to work, be it a teacher, nurse, and then you hear about a fight between MPP and DC and a gunshot. You, the trader, you run away for your dear life.
All right.
The customer coming to buy your goods.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you.
So let's enjoy the peace, sustain the peace we are enjoying now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next question.
I'm Boachi Jennifer, and I want to know my voter's ID card got missing, and I want to know whether I can get new one to vote. My second question is that during the registration, because we are not brought to the registration center with any political leader, we went out late whilst we got there early in the morning. So how are you going to do about it for us during the new registration? Thank you.
All right. Next. Please keep it brief. We have to close, so please keep your questions brief.
My name is Gabriel Akumasi from New Job and South. My question will go to polling agents, parties polling agents. The duty of polling agent is to go and observe or monitor the election. But when the polling agents went to the voting centers, they will not even allow the polling agent to closer to the those who are issuing the voting receipt for them to go and vote. But they will ask them to go and sit far away from the electoral officers. They will not allow them to be closer to them so that they will see whether if they've issued 2 or 3 decisions so that they can prompt the electoral commission. But they will ask them to go and sit far away.
So then what is the question? Please go straight to the
is,
point.
Are you going to still maintain that method or you are going to use different methods?
All right, thank you.
And then the second one is about the election after counting of the figures. Some of the ballot paper, some of the agents do not sign, but you go ahead to declare the results. So that one, what are you going to do about it?
All right, thank you. Next question.
Okay, my name is Abbas Husseini. My question is it's about the security system now is in use, you know. My branch, 2020 election, there was one small, I would say a police lady, I'm posting it to one. Sometimes personnel now, I'm posting to be man for being so say, I'm begging you on. It's at least so to be posting for 2 crampona. And it's me protected that branch and as that electoral area. No? And the second question is, how am I going to trust you, say, this time election, more than one resource, never babble, and say, I'm going to declare in several ways.
All right, so the lady is our last question. Sorry, the last 3 gentlemen, we can't take your questions because we have to go. Sorry, so the lady, yes, unfortunately. So the lady, please ask your question, and then they can answer.
Pastor, our friend Zelia to Adamte from Suhum. You know, I'm registration for voters ID. No, be a planet to say Suhum Islamic High Girls. Near the number 2 brand and so say umbe vote you. Sometimes a man colony is stranded. If you call Kosa, then the easy people will tell you, say, Munko exhibition time. Now acquire sa and Sisano. Exhibition time, akolano sulu nyakwan, only exhibition okra. Because exhibition okra and hit it says on a transfer hit no. And so by then nyakwenya akwa exhibition time, acquire and sisa about the voters ID no.
All right, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. I think the first person spoke on trust. And we have talked about trust. And I'm still assuring you that we have put a lot of measures to make sure that we do better in our electoral processes. And I can assure you that the trust is there. We will do enough education so that we increase our trust. Obi so can rejected ballot, say number not very high.
it boils down to education. Electoral Commission, ene mijina hen, ye guso church amam for ye use other medium to say ye visit churches, any other groups. Na educate you mo, ye nuano mo NCCE for so education. Omu invite ye ni omuko. Enti juma ye guso ye. Also unim bibia na so aboa na so o chire unuano mo. Eba even a ballot paper design na. You try say in between the two candidates, you know, you bear the tick, senia who vote to a bear clear between two candidates. Nina measures and also ye day at hold. Ubinso say ye yard better in display how to vote. If you say a good idea, I think going forward we can take it up. Obi nso kan police agent ne say to aba ne amo makotena akire no ho a eno de say wo ye police agent na wo police station ho a emra ne say say wo tena ba bi a de ekoso wo police station ho bia no ubehu bi enti ye ne stakeholders ni hia ye ka kire wo mu say the oti ballot paper no say wo tie akire no ho a na hu ho a say o ma wo tena ba bi a bibia ye ho bia no wo be den ubehu because stakeholders, security agent, electoral commission, and a share or say, ye nyina ye beti ye ho ase wo de ye. Na o mani pa ne kwatra ba bi ne se wa hu de ye ya. Sa onye system ni me bo ana. Ba se otena ba bi a de wo ye no obehu a ebe masumdua ye den aba. Enti ye se otena ba bi a bibia ekoso wo center ho bia no, wodi wani behu. Eno na emra no e kire. Obi nso se agent and sign resource na identity declare Ghana ha yemra na ye clear agent na wo ho no ye privilege na ye amount se be hwe abato no so but say one sign does not invalidate the resource but what you say anti one sign a say wo ma reason ti a one sign but say wo ma reason no ana wa ma reason no eno nkire say aba no ma yen kan ana say to sa aba no ntungu emra no nkire sa enti eyesa wo ye part of it na wo ye convince na wa sign na bibia akoso obi ho so on sign because the candidate elusu nti no so on sign so no only reason bi enti also onye den on sign enti eno nti mayen kan sa aba na na okay obi so can registration center so obi be register na ye de ne to akire ne ho a se bisa na ya unfortunate because oba yebusa wo ba bi a wote ene ye de wato sa center no enti ye wo na wo kire ba bi a ye fa onye den ento enye ye ne ye de to say obi na te wo no wo kire say me register unti me de wo koto ba bi wo na wo man because yebusa wo house number enti wo house number any area na wo te no ene ye de wo ma polling station a den e ben wo sa na ye process no etinye ye ne ye pen ye de obi to ba bi a onkoto aba. And my last one I make and say Ghana security eda yenyina yakoma so enye electoral commission ko me assure say IGP so ona efi say ye to aba nesa abato no security anko ya ono so o wasede saa na electoral commission yeso ye wasede enu nti na nse wa make nyina aka say ya ye collaboration pi security nso ababia ya to bia no mu review de ya to dada no mahu de ye ko yenye enti de atwamu no me sure say by now no ma putting in measures to deal with the BBA eno ni assurance amede ma say the mere for say ebiasi da enkyere say afin so bia den ebeti efi say minim say aba ye beto security de Ghana security afa de ato o makoma so send the electoral commission yenso ye de abato no nhyehyɛ ato yakoma so say ye be ma politician na gina bonten no ma ye de ombeye na yenso ye aye de ebeye ama Ghana afa no ntoma apa efra medamase.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. I think there is a major issue raised about education and the fact that it's only during election. That is not true. If I do a survey now, a lot of you would attest to the fact that there is so much education. But let's look forward. NCCE, we have come out with a theme for these elections, together we can build Ghana, so get involved. In the coming days, political parties, we are going to hold inter-party dialogue committee meetings. The youth, we have your youth, youth representatives that will meet you on daily basis. We have social media handles that there is a lot of information. You go to NCCE, we are on Facebook, you will see a lot of information. And finally, we are going to hold, every election year, we hold debates for parliamentary candidates. This year we will hold it. It will be announced on our social media handles. It will be announced on media so that you go there, the pertinent issues that you think bother you for this election, you have the opportunity to ask them. Together we can build Ghana. So youth of Ghana, let's get involved. Thank you very much.
All right, put your hands together for them. Hey, standing for hours is not easy. Put your hands together for them. Some catch on say, Munsi omu gym for 2 weeks. That's why they are standing on the podium as strong as they are. Thank you guys so much. But please, we also have amongst us Dachi Eugene Bempong. He is the communications officer for the New Job in South. Please put your hands together for him. And we also have Richard Etonam Nyakon. He is NDC's Eastern Regional Youth Organizer. Put your hands together for him as well. So we've said it so many times that this conversation is devoid of partisan politics. We only want to have a conversation with first-time voters to encourage them to exercise their franchise for the first time. That being said, please, I'm coming to both of you, asking that you encourage our first-time voters, because we said that this is a non-partisan conversational meeting. So 2 minutes each brief. Can you address us and encourage our first-time voters to participate in the electioneering process?
Well, I would like to say a big thank you for organizing such an important exercise. Indeed, the next elections is not about arms and fight. It is about dialogue like this. My very little advice to every young voter is that so far as you are 18 years of age, you are well equipped to work and pay taxes. And that is why you have a share in the power of the vote. Every young person who has registered here form part of the decision of December 7th. And that decision, we are going to see notable two people, the image of Dr. Bawumia and the image of President John Dramani Mahama. It is not just these images that they are voting for, but they are voting for two different destinies, two different futures. In that of President Dr. Bawumia, I keep telling every young person that if you want to see how the next NDPP government, on an unlikely event if they win, if you want to see how their next 4 years will look like, just look at how their past 8 years have been like. If you stake at best and you are lucky to win, they come in for 10%. That of President Mahama is telling you that if President Mahama wins the next elections, these things are not going to be there. Once you stake a bet and you win, the entire betting win is for you. This and many other things, and I would like to put across to every young person listening that the NDC puts premier on every young person. And that is why today, being International Youth Day, we have launched our Youth Manifesto. It's a big book that has a lot of solutions to the problems facing every young Ghanaian.
All right, also to you, briefly, 2 minutes. No partisan politics, please. And your people want to see you, so can you please be on your feet for us a little? And in 2 minutes, speak to us.
Right. I couldn't have agreed more with my senior brother when he started with the non-political speech, and then he had to come to where the politics had to be. But the whole point is that we are all young people. I'm young, you're young. Election 2024 has nothing to do with violence. The sole importance of this election is about the future, definitely. As my senior brother said, it is between two people. It is about the future and then the past. It is about what you want to see and what you've had before. It is basically about who will put Ghana first, who will put the youth first, and who would make Ghana a better place for you and I. But I can promise you that without being biased or anything, I can promise you that a government of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, a government of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will put this country forward, will put your needs as the youth forward, and I can promise you Ghana will be a better place for you and I. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for them. All right, please keep it down. Dr. Imurana and Mr. Joe, your final words, and then you can take your seats. Please, let's hear from Dr. Imurana and Mr. Joe, please.
Thank you very much.
Over to you.
Hello. Hello. The youth of Ghana, a simple message for you. Elections are not a do or die affair. After elections, we have a country to live. We have a country to protect. So don't let anyone deceive us into violence. Let's cast our ballot peacefully, and together we can build our dear country, Ghana. And we all get involved in the activities of governance. Thank you very much.
Yo, yes, so Electoral Commission, the worker, and they say, Electoral Commission, a buta yake CSA, afia bato, yebeye diebeye biyama abato no aye successful under the leadership of our able chairperson, Madam G. Mensah. Inti emwebia se obia de buama afi abato aye successful no, eye nyina ya sede se ye de ho beboa. Ema obi ena da say okoto aba obi beye obibi enti no edane duru a won konkoto aba adane duru a security bia ya say IGP ni na pamfo hwe ema wokoto aba successfully na ye kan na bibia ekoso no. Electoral Commission and the security can assure you say we are poised to ensure that this year election becomes one of the most successful elections in the history of this country. Thank you for this opportunity.
All right. Please put your hands together for them. It's been an amazing conversation. Please, you can take your seat. All right. Can you hear? Hello? Please put your hands together for yourselves. People have been amazing. All right. So a very big thank you to Dr. Imurana. He is the programs director at the National Commission for Civic Education. Please put your hands together for him. And also, let's put our hands together for Nana Oduro. He is the Deputy Regional Director of the Electoral Commission. Please put your hands together for him. Also, thank you to all of you because you've been amazing. Put your hands together for yourselves again. And put your hands together for me because I am Akachi. I mean, Kachi. All right. So this conversation we had here is in partnership with Star Ghana Foundation. Without them, we wouldn't be standing here having this conversation. So please put your hands together also for Star Ghana Foundation. All right. So this conversation has been an amazing one. I hope that you first-time voters in here and you first-time voters at home or wherever you're watching us from have had enough information that will help shape your decision on who you decide to vote for in the elections. We are hoping that everybody will vote. Remember that the electioneering process is important. You first-time voters are very important. Your voices are important, and so are your votes. So we are entreating you that come December 2024, the 7th, you go to the polls and you vote for who you want to see come in power. All right, so this is just turned 18. My name is Loishola Ademi, and we'll see you very soon in your community. Please put your hands together for yourselves.